This is AI Command App Media Lens. Every day, the same stories get told differently depending on who's telling them. Here are today's top stories and what happens when you read them side by side. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. We sampled mainstream outlets across the editorial spectrum: ABC, BBC, The New York Times, PBS NewsHour, The Guardian, The Hill, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Wired, and Ars Technica. 5 stories dominated. Each one was told differently depending on who had the microphone. Story 1. The United States and Iran. President Trump paused Project Freedom, the U.S. military operation guiding commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz, citing a request from Pakistan and other countries and progress on nuclear negotiations. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the offensive phase of the Iran war is, quote, over. Iranian officials responded, "We are just getting started." Now look at the headlines. ABC News led with, "Rubio says operation in Iran is over. Nuclear material has to be addressed." That's a presidential statement frame. The news is the announcement itself. BBC World pairs the same statement with the Iranian response. "Offensive stage of Iran war is over," U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says. But the subhead notes incidents in the Strait of Hormuz are testing the ceasefire. A more skeptical reading. PBS NewsHour reverses the lead entirely. Iran remains defiant as U.S. launches new effort to reopen Strait of Hormuz. In the PBS frame, Iran's defiance is the story. Rubio's announcement is the response, not the news. The Hill ran 3 different angles in a single afternoon. First, the leadership angle. Second, expert criticism, a former NATO commander calling it a game of chicken. Third, explicit political framing tied to the midterms. Trump, allies aim to tame Iran rhetoric as war grows unpopular. What this tells you: same statement, 4 different stories. ABC reads it as policy. BBC reads it as a fragile claim. PBS reads it as Iran's moment. The Hill reads it as a political vulnerability. The facts didn't change, the lens did. Story 2. Politics. An Indiana state senator who refused to back Trump's redistricting push lost his primary on Tuesday, one of 7 incumbents Trump endorsed challengers against. Meanwhile, multiple southern states are scrambling to redraw congressional maps after a recent Supreme Court ruling. ABC News framed the primary as straight political news. Indiana senator who defied Trump over redistricting loses re-election bid. The story is that Trump's machine works. PBS NewsHour zoomed out. New wave of southern states scramble to redraw congressional maps ahead of midterms. PBS centered the Supreme Court ruling, the structural cause behind the primary fights, not just the result. The Hill played the long game. Senator Tim Scott confidently predicted Republicans would hold the Senate, but conceded the House, quote, is a different story. Horse race coverage. What this tells you: ABC tells you who lost. PBS tells you why the rules changed. The Hill tells you what it means for the scoreboard. All 3 are reporting the same political ecosystem, but watching the same election through them would feel like 3 different countries. Story 3. The economy. The S&P 500 closed at a fresh record on Tuesday, while gasoline prices climbed toward $5 a gallon and aluminum surged because the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. CNBC's lead. S&P 500 futures tick higher after broad market index hits a fresh record. The frame is market victory, attributed to, quote, solid earnings and lower oil prices. Notice that phrase, lower oil prices. Yahoo Finance, the same hour. Gasoline prices climb toward $5 as Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Same economic moment, opposite story. One was financial markets recovering, the other was consumer pain accelerating. CNBC also ran a story on aluminum prices surging, focused on Ford and Molson Coors absorbing the cost pressure, and one with a hedged take. Data suggests hiring recession may be behind us, but the Iran war poses job market risks. What this tells you: the same Tuesday is a record high day if you sit on a trading desk, and a $5 gas day if you commute to work. Neither headline is wrong. The editorial choice is which angle leads and which one gets buried. Story 4. The OpenAI versus Elon Musk trial. The trial entered its second week. OpenAI President Greg Brockman wrapped his testimony. 3 outlets covered the same court day and produced 3 different stories. CNBC's headline, OpenAI Trial, Brockman reboots Musk's take on startup's history, recounts secret work for Tesla, substance-driven. The news is what Brockman said about the company. Wired's headline, I actually thought he was going to hit me, OpenAI's Greg Brockman says of Elon Musk. That's a pull quote, leading with a personal threat. The news is the human drama. Ars Technica took the most Musk-favorable frame, OpenAI president forced to read his personal diary entries to jury. That headline does real editorial work. Brockman is forced, not testifying. The diaries in Ars Technica's framing show, quote, the moment OpenAI abandoned its mission. What this tells you. 3 reporters watching the same witness produced a corporate update, a personal conflict story, and a moral indictment. None of them invented their facts. They all picked which facts mattered most. Story 5. Public health. The World Health Organization is investigating a hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship off the coast of West Africa. 3 people have died. About 150 passengers remain quarantined. PBS NewsHour. Can hantavirus spread between humans? What to know as WHO investigates ship outbreak. Service journalism framing, with an infectious disease expert explaining the immediate situation. The New York Times. Hantavirus outbreaks are rare, but they aren't going away and there's no cure. Historical framing. The lead reaches back to the 1950s rather than the ship. What this tells you. Same outbreak, 2 emotional registers. PBS wants you informed about right now. The Times wants you contextualized about the long arc. Both are responsible journalism, but the version that sticks in your head depends on which one you read first. That's today's Media Lens from AI Command App. Same stories, different lenses. The point isn't that one outlet is right and another is wrong. The point is that every editorial choice, from the headline to the paragraph order to the verb tense, shapes what you take away. Read more than one. See you tomorrow.
Gentle.